Guess who's back again. Leaky's back. Tell your friends. Yo, what's up, y'all? It's your boy, Young Motivate, aka Young Leaky, aka the Black Lotus, aka I'm back at it again with another video. Happy Saturday, y'all. Today's video, I wanted to talk about a question that I get all the time, which is, how do you manage working a full-time job while also having side hustles and trying to build your business on the side? How do you manage having a full-time job while also managing to do your side hustles and trying to get your income streams popping? Because at the end of the day, bro, if you're really hip, you know that selling your time and having a salary is not gonna get you to financial freedom, and it's not gonna get you that bag. You need to build your other streams of income, and side hustles are a great way to do that. So in this video, I'm gonna give you 5 tips on how you can manage your time better and really get your side hustles popping the way they need to be popping. Are you with me or are you with me? All right, and I'm gonna do something different. I'm gonna give you the tips up front, and then I'm gonna get into the content, because I know y'all don't like to watch these long old videos, right? So the first tip is going to be, you need to increase your capacity, right? The second tip is going to be, you need to time box things, right? The third tip is you need to get to mastery. The fourth tip is that you need to productize your business as much as possible. And then the fifth tip is going to be do work that has asymmetrical rewards, okay? So now let's get into what all of those things actually mean in practice, all right? So first tip is increasing your capacity. People often wonder how I'm always pushing out so much work, how I always have new projects to drop, etc. And to be honest, like, I have realized this the other day, like, since I was 16, since I was in high school, I've basically been working like 80-hour weeks, like, as a normal thing, you know? And I've just trained myself to have a very high productivity, so that, like, if I'm staying up all night, or if I'm going hard, or I'm putting in crazy work, it actually doesn't affect me as much, because it's just normal to me. So if you can find a way to just train yourself to just produce more and just get into that flow and just create a lifestyle for yourself where you're always pushing out content, you're always pushing out new work, you're always pushing out dope stuff, that's gonna be a huge help. So just train yourself to produce more than the average person. That's tip number 1. I think tip number 2, and this is gonna be a major gem. Shout out to Alex Becker on YouTube. I love his videos. My homie Ferris put me on. You need to time box things. So this is what people typically try to do. Like, when they talk about side hustles, they always talk about you have a 9 to 5 and then you got your 5 to 9. You know what I'm saying? And so the default way of thinking is that I'm going to go to work on my job for about 8 hours, and then I'm gonna get off of work and then try to put in another 4 to 8 hours working on my dreams. And what usually happens is that when you get off of work, bruh, you tired, you're drained. You're like, yo, all I wanna do is watch Netflix and scroll on Instagram and empty my mind and de-stress myself, watch some whatever, and kind of keep things going. And that's because your brain is like a device, it's a supercomputer. So you have peak productivity states. And if you're waiting until the end of the day to work on the stuff that is most important to you, you're gonna find that it's gonna be very hard to get yourself to put in that extra work, because you're just not gonna have it in you. And that's normal. That doesn't mean like you're weak, or that doesn't mean like that you can't handle it, but it just means that you've kind of reached your limit. And so that's totally normal. And so what you gotta do is you gotta flip that script. Instead of waiting until the end of the day when your brain is drained and you don't have a lot of energy and you don't got a lot of stuff going on, what you wanna do is you wanna wake up early, get up before the sun, and use that time in the morning, because that's when your brain is actually most fresh, right? Like, if you actually look up like neuroscience, like, you'll know that in those peak hours in the early morning, that's when your brain is the most fresh, your brain is the most creative, and you're most ready to like do creative things, add value, create an impact. And so you'll notice that in a lot of religious and spiritual traditions, like, they always do their prayer and meditation in the morning. You'll notice that like a lot of people, you know, hinge their success on their morning routine. I think, who's that big investor? I think Ray Dalio, he actually credits meditation for all of his success, right? So think about that. Instead of starting with the job that you hate or the job that you're not really feeling, start your day by actually working on the things that are going to get you to that next level. And in doing so, you're actually gonna start your day with momentum because you're starting by working on your dreams, right? Start your day with working on your dreams and use that momentum to carry you forward throughout the rest of the day. And that'll probably make you more excited to finish your work as quickly as possible so that you can get back to working on your dreams. So that way you do a lot of the creative tasks, a lot of the heavy mental lifting tasks where you have to do a lot of thinking and a lot of going through different scenarios. You do that in the beginning, and then at the end of the day, you come back and maybe you only have a couple hours of work left to do, and then you're gonna be good to go. And so at that point, like the night shift is really more of a cleanup than it is like, you know, trying to get all of your peak horsepower, starting to get like your engine running. You don't wanna be doing all that at night. You wanna be doing that in the morning while you're fresh. So try to shift your schedule ahead so that you can focus on those things. And then on time boxing as well, another thing that you can think about is I usually will spend like, you know, a couple hours each day working on my side hustles, which I actually call my main gig. Like, my job is my side hustle. Sorry guys, but my dreams have to come first. And that's how you're gonna get the best me every day, if I'm putting myself first, right? Major key alert. But you know, I also like, I work on my job like usually for the bulk part of the week, and then I use the weekends to make really crazy progress on the side hustle. So if there's a lot of mental lifting, there's a lot of people I have to get back to, there's a lot of creative tasks that need to get done, you know, you use your weekends to really accelerate ahead of the crowd. While everyone is decompressing, you're taking those steps, you're running your laps, you're doing what you need to do to get where you need to go. So that's a major key there for sure. Like, time box things so that you're doing things early in the morning and that you're spending your early times working on that stuff, and then like you have dedicated times where you actually work on your side hustles. Like, you know, a lot of people want to work for themselves because they like the feeling of being their own boss and stuff, but like when it comes to actually working on your job, you don't give your side hustles, which are your real passions, your dreams, let's call them dreams, not side hustles. You don't give the dreams the same energy that you give your employer, right? Like, when you're supposed to be working on your dreams, instead, what are you doing? Like, you're kind of cutting corners, you're not being disciplined and regimented with your schedule, you're not doing a lot of that stuff. And so like, you know, that's gonna be like super, super, super key. Like be structured, be disciplined, have some rigor to what you're actually doing, and treat your dreams and your side hustles as like an actual job where you're working for self, and give it that same respect that it needs, all right? And then the third thing is gonna be get to mastery as quickly as possible. So mastery is a concept, and this is a concept I got from my roommate, Aaron Motain, really dope guy. Check him out, aaron.mov on Instagram. But mastery is gonna be so key, because another reason why I'm able to like always manage side hustles, because I've been working on them literally for the last 10 years, is because I've achieved a certain level of mastery in the disciplines that I work on. The way Aaron broke it down for me was really dope. It's the conscious competence spectrum, right? So in any discipline, when it comes to evaluating what your level of mastery is, you have a point where you're unconsciously incompetent. You don't know that you're not even good at this thing. And then you have conscious incompetence, where it's like, oh, okay, like, you know, I know that I don't know. And then you have competence, which is like, okay, I know. And then you have, conscious competence, right? And then it's like unconscious competence, where it's like you're at a certain level where your brain is pushing out at like crazy levels, right? But it doesn't actually take a lot from you, it's subconscious. And so you're actually able, like, the best way to think about it is like your 70 to 80% is equal to most people's 100%, right? Because you've done this task so much, you've gotten to such a level of mastery that like you can do these things on autopilot. And that's the place where you want to be, where it's like you can actually run all of this stuff on autopilot, and it doesn't take a lot out of you in terms of mental horsepower, because you can automate those things. And that allows you to just push out at such higher rates, because you don't have to stop and think about it, because it's just natural and second nature to you. And that goes back to the first principle, capacity, because if you're putting in that grind and you're training yourself to be this high output, like, it's going to be easy for you to push out at those levels, right? Because the only way you get to those levels is through repetition, 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 repetition. So repetition is the mother of learning. Repetition is the mother of mastery. That's a good alliteration right there, but like, that's really what it is, y'all. Like, you have to get to that level where you're like unconsciously competent on a thing, and you can do it like naturally at automated levels without even breaking a sweat. Key. The next tip that I wanted to talk about here as well is productizing. And this is so key, especially for anyone who does consulting, especially for anyone who does anything creative. Like, productizing is a major key. If you just look up that on YouTube, you'll find tons of great videos that explain the concept and why it's so important. But essentially what productizing allows you to do is it allows you to take an activity, a service that you're providing, something that you're doing, and then you narrow the scope of it, right? So think about it if you're like a consultant and you do photography, for example. Instead of doing photo shoots where you have to go back to the drawing board and expend a lot of mental horsepower solving new problems every single time you have a client, what you want to do is you want to get to a level where, you know, you narrow your scope. So it's like you only solve specific types of problems for specific types of people, and you produce specific types of outcome. You want to get really niche. That's the best thing that you can do for yourself. And the reason why is, like, if you're only doing editorial photography for luxury fashion clients who have over 6 figures in revenue, and you're doing like those types of shoots in New York, for example, that's a very narrow market. And so you're constantly solving the same problems again and again and again. So that's the place that you want to be. You want to be in a place where you're solving the same problems consistently. And so when you're getting these problems, you already have a predefined process. You already have a predefined playbook for how to tackle these problems. You already know exactly how to deal with the clients. You know exactly who are the different players that you want to plug in along the way, and that allows you to now move faster because you're doing the same thing again and again and again. And when you're doing the same thing again and again and again, it now allows you to also add people to your team, right? And now you can remove yourself from the actual process. So you don't need to be now an active participant. You can now be an overseer who puts all the chess pieces on the board and sets things up in a way that's gonna make it work, right? So that's what you wanna be thinking about. Like, how can I narrow my scope? How can I clearly define the types of problems that I'm going to be solving, the types of impact that I wanna make, and then like set up a process that allows you to run that like automated, and like think about ways that you can automate yourself out of the business. So if you're noticing that you're spending a lot of time responding to emails, you're spending a lot of time creating mood boards, you're spending a lot of time going back and forth with clients, like think about ways that you can plug other people into that process to allow you to scale up your time and then focus on higher impact, higher value activities. That is key, and that's what productizing is all about. It's about taking these services and then you turn it into a product that you can take off the shelf, give to someone, and give them everything that they're gonna need. So think about ways that you can do that and how you can plug people in and scale up your time. Productizing is a major key, okay? And then the fifth tip is asymmetrical activity. So the ideal scenario for you is you want to work in an industry, and this is something the homie Naval Ravikant talks about all the time, but you want to work in an industry where your input and your output have an asymmetrical relationship. So that means that 1 hour of input doesn't necessarily mean I'm only going to get 1 hour's worth of output. I can do 1 hour of input on a project, but then I can get $100,000 of output. I can solve a problem for you in 1 hour and then make 6 figures of revenue for you for that problem, right? Like, a great way to think about this is an online course. I can create an online course, right? And maybe it takes me a weekend, 2 weekends, depending on the level of mastery and the complexity of the course and the duration of the course. But then I solve this problem once, and then now I can package that and sell that to people 1,000,000 times over, right? And so that's the type of game that you want to play. And the industries that allow you to play those types of games are media, content, and anything that's technical, right? So media, content, code. Those are some of the most asymmetrical types of games that you can play. So anything that requires like a creative thing where it's like, you know, it's not really about the number of hours that you put in, but it's about the value that you actually bring to the table. And so that is super duper key. Like, try to do work that is not predicated on putting in X amount of hours, but that's predicated on creating specific outcomes or creating a certain amount of value. Because then you can focus on how do you optimize yourself, how do you optimize the work that you're doing so that you can actually get the most value out in the least amount of time, right? And so like, especially if you're working in tech, like that's one of the reasons I love working in tech so much, because it's really all about like, yo, they don't really care how long you spend doing a task. They don't really care how you get things done. They just care that the outcome is correct, your process is vetted, you're thinking about all the risks, and you do what you need to do. If you do what you need to do, then you do what you need to do, and we good. You know what I'm saying? So that's the type of industry that you want to be in. And so I think that the combination of those 5 things have allowed me over the last several years, like ever since I was in high school, like I remember, you know, going to take my SATs, but I stayed up for 2 nights the night before designing clothes in my room. I remember I would get off of school every day and I would spend 4 hours taking pictures, editing pictures, posting on, you know, various social media networks, stuff that doesn't even exist anymore. Well, it does, but it's not as poppin', like Lookbook or Tumblr. I'd have my Instagram, I'd be in Facebook groups, I'd be doing all this type of stuff, but I've just be doing like, I've been doing this for so long that I've gotten to the point where it's like, for me to put in an extra 4 to 5, 6 hours at the end of the day has become something that's normal to me. And then when you're doing the same types of tasks and you're building industry knowledge, you're building like IP, you're building a structured process, it allows you to accelerate things at a crazy rate. So again, let's recap what are those 5 tips. Number 1, increase your capacity. Make sure that you're someone who is used to the grind, and just make it up in your mind that if you want to be a side hustler, if you want to be a digital entrepreneur, if you want to be a creator, you're gonna have to just produce more, especially in the beginning. Think about it like acceleration, right? If the car has to get up before it can get to that top speed, right? So just train yourself to do more, produce more. The second tip is you want to time box things. So take advantage of when your brain is in peak state early in the morning, and then use that to do a lot of your creative work. And don't wait until the end of the day to work on your dreams, because you won't have the energy to really do what you need to do the way you need to do it. And then also have a schedule and a routine for how you actually work on your business. Like, be like, all right, so like during the week, I'm gonna give 80% of my capacity to my job. I'm gonna use the 20% on my side hustle, but I'm gonna make sure that my 80% that I'm giving to my job is basically 100%, or the equivalent of 120% in terms of value that's actually created. And then have a routine, like, all right, on the weekends, I'm gonna make sure I put in 20 hours, 40 hours. Like, there were some points, man, I was putting in like 20, 30, sometimes more than 30 hours on the weekends, just in that 3-day period, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Like, there's so much that you can do if you really challenge yourself to be like regimented with how you spend your time. So think about how you can time box things, right? And then the third point is like, okay, get to mastery. Like, do the same types of things, do enough repetition, get your reps in the gym to the point where it's like you have enough mastery over this topic that it's like it's light work to you. And then when you have that mastery, think about how can you productize? How can you take these services and these activities that you're actually doing and then turn it into a product that you can now take off the shelf, and you can remove yourself from the business and plug other people in to handle a lot of the redundant and the repetitive tasks or the administrative tasks that are still valuable but aren't the most important thing for you to be focusing on. Because your unique skills as a founder, as an entrepreneur, as a leader, they're more valuable in thinking about how you can work on the business and not in the business. You dig what I'm saying? And then finally, do things that have asymmetrical outcomes, where it's like 1 hour of input doesn't mean you're only getting 1 hour of value. Do things where you can have 1 hour of input and you can have tremendous amounts of value, right? Think about ways that you can take 1 hour, 8 hours, and then turn that into 10, 50, 100 racks somehow, some way, because people are getting paid for that, man. People are getting paid for that. You think about these musical artists who are getting paid $250 for a show. They do a 2-hour set, make 250 bands. Drake is making $2 million a show. he's performing the same set of songs that he recorded years ago, right? But because he's so leveraged, because he has such an asymmetrical outcome, like I literally know the manager, like Tay Keith's manager, Coach Bam, dope guy I went to Howard with, and when they made Look Alive, 901 Shelby Drive, Look Alive, you know what I'm saying? When they made that song, this man told me Drake recorded that verse in like 4 hours, bruh. Tay Keith sent this man the beat, Drake sent back the verse in 4 hours, and that's a platinum recording song right there. 4 hours of output, 4 hours of input, and then you have millions and millions of dollars worth of output. So think about ways that you can set yourself up for those asymmetrical results and leverage your time. Leverage your time with people, with process, or with capital. Think about ways that you can do that. And I feel like if you really hold true to these 5 tips that we just talked through, then you'll be in a really, really, really good position to manage your side hustles, to make sure that you get the money that you deserve, and to really scale up your time and to build up these other streams of income that are gonna help you get to where you wanna go. So that's all I got for y'all today. Quick and easy. I know y'all like when my videos are a little bit shorter. Y'all like the long videos too, but y'all like these a little bit better, right? Right? You like them? You like them? You like them? Please like them. Like, comment, subscribe. Shout out everybody who watching. You feel me? And until next time, y'all know the deal, man. Own your power, give back, and leave no stone unturned. Black Lotus, where we at? We outside. We outside. We outside, but we out though. Okay.